Hello, and welcome to the Mouth Offender.
Or Gibson.
We want some free guitars, so we're shoehorning guitars into everything. Yeah, that's mate. So I'm starting the timer. So we've got an hour. Welcome to the Mouth of Manliness after our noisy interlude there. My name's Nick Noise. This is Brad Action.
Brad
the newly
Action.
named Brad Action.
Yeah, my new nickname.
My friend told me it sounded properly like a porn name. And I was
Well,
like,
I thought
that's
Bad
good.
Brad was more of a porn name, to be
No,
honest.
Brad Action's definitely more of a porn name.
Brad Action.
Although I'm dyslexic and misread your name on the first Mouth of Manliness intro thing as Brad Action. So I thought you were called Brad Action.
Okay, so it fitted anyway.
There you go.
Suited.
It's perfect.
That's
so,
cool.
So welcome to the podcast. Welcome to our viewers at Here Boston. We went live this week on Here Boston.
Yes,
so
we
it's been
did.
A very exciting week. You've probably noticed there's a different voice in the room.
Hello.
This is Neil Cunningham. And Neil basically got in touch with me via one of my oldest friends, saying that he'd like to come on. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. So I'm going to kind of ask Neil, why did you want to come on?
Well, yeah, so it's through your mate James, who I work with.
Big up James Quinn.
James Quinn, shout out. And Big Q. And I listened to the first episode and I thought it was really refreshing to talk about man stuff. I know that like men have been talking about their stuff for fucking millennia, so I can swear, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Just don't say cunt.
Yeah. Cunt. And I was actually, we'll get onto this later, thinking about what would be the male version of it. Of cunt, like what could be the male version of that, and thought maybe chode.
Yeah, I like chode. Chode's a strong word. I like choddy and chode.
What? So the male version as in the male...
Like what's a swear word that's as visceral as cunt? Which is horrible.
When you think about it, though.
Cunt. My mum listens to this and she was like, you do say cunt a lot. And I was like, I don't apologise for that.
Sorry, Mum. I want to apologise because I want to please everyone.
Probably said it more than me because I'm a little bit conscious of saying it.
Because your mum.
Yeah. But I don't know...
It's definitely a southern thing, though.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, no.
No?
I remember when I moved down south, when I was 18 and moved to London, and people would say it and I'd shiver. Like physically, like, oh, I can't believe you said that, because that would be fighting
really?
words. Yeah.
People just use it frightened to a
Oh, I'm cunty shoes. Oh, fucking cunt! I've missed the bus.
I went out with a girl.
Trivialises it.
When I was at university, I went out with a girl, very briefly, this Greek girl, and she was pretty shocked by the word cunt because I was using it all the time, and I was
in reference to
absolutely everything and anything.
Right.
And we were like. Me and my mate convinced her that it was perfectly fine to say it.
Amazing.
And that she should say it.
Nice.
And then she started saying it, and I live with a bloke, like another really old friend, and two girls, and they didn't appreciate it at all. She was like, all right, yeah, cunt.
Why did this Greek girl have a northern accent?
No. She'd go cunt, or something like that. And I was like, that's not how you say it. You have to sound like really kind of, sound aggressive.
Nice.
But coming back to...
Sorry, yeah, I deflected then.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So I listened to the first podcast and I thought it was really refreshing to hear you both talk about things that you're into, things that are on your mind. There was a couple of things that really challenged the way I thought about stuff. So specifically, and forgive me, I can't remember which one of you brought it up, but when you were talking about the behaviour on building sites and the things that people say and that kind of tribalism around... It's okay to behave like this because I'm in this tribe, and people let each other get away with it.
Yeah.
And then actually taking a step back and going, that's abhorrent. You
No,
can't
yeah.
behave like
Yeah.
that. That's disgusting. But then acknowledging that you do it. And I thought it was really, I didn't think it was right that people behave like that, but I do think it's brave to acknowledge, actually, I need to check myself.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's really hard.
Not just that, but like men need to hold other men accountable, I think. Yeah. And it's not easy to stand up to people and go, do you know what? I don't agree with what you've just said there. Yeah. Especially if there's like 8 other people who have just said it kind of thing. But yeah, just being able to go away and think, right, I didn't say it then, but I'm just going to make a conscious effort now just to not say it, or I'm just going to move away from that group of friends or change my job or whatever. Like,
That's a big life shift. All right, I'm going to change my job.
Yeah, no, but
I'm
you
gonna
know,
change
not
my
that extreme.
No, but you raise a good point. Like, if you might have to remove yourself from it to be able to examine your behaviour. And I think there's a couple of things that feed into it. It's like men. What is man?
Yeah.
What is man? And like, they're all behaviours, and women have those behaviours, and just as the stereotypically female behaviours that men are capable of, and it doesn't make you any more or less of a man if you do any of those, if you do any of those things. And it's we've been told it's for generations, especially I'd say in the West, there's been a way of behaving, and being introverted and self-reflective was not one of the virtues that we were taught would get you anywhere in life.
No.
And so it is difficult. And I think for a lot of men to go, you know, I'm fine, I'm successful.
Yeah.
Why should I bother looking at myself? It's actually, you can be more successful.
Yeah, totally.
If you can understand how other people might be hurt by your actions, it's going to get you far further in life than just sticking
100%.
in your little
And even surrounding
echo
yourself
chamber.
in a positive circle and more positive and influential people, and getting yourself in like a different circle can make such a big difference. It's huge.
Yeah.
But that's not to say we know what we're talking
No,
about
very true.
at all, because it was raised before that, you know, maybe the way we kind of spoke about a couple of things, like it was kind of brought up that we might have been picking on like people on building sites and everything else. And I speak from my own experience, having worked on those and just the people that I've been around and sort of hung around with and stuff like that. And I include myself in that group. I've said and done some horrible things to people. Well, maybe not in the grand scheme of things, but in my mind it was horrible. And I felt terrible for it afterwards. And I just thought, like, you know, if other people knew that I kind of felt like that, then maybe it might make a little bit of a difference and go from there.
I think the shift is that kind of checking yourself. If you're prepared to kind of check yourself and think, actually, I might have done that, but like that was shit. Like, I shouldn't do that. Like, that's where the change comes, and that's where the kind of being the bigger person and saying, no, that's fucking out of order.
Yeah.
You know, we shouldn't do that. So it's funny you were saying about from where you come from, and there being sometimes a slightly different attitude to things. You know that. I was talking to someone the other day, and her family were from the north, and she had like her nephew was getting beaten up at school, and he wouldn't fight, and the family really shunned him. He was only young, but they were like, "No, you fight back," and he's like, "No, I don't want to. Like, I'm not that type of person. I won't fight back." And it's like, no. You know, these almost like these are northern virtues. You stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And you think, some of us just aren't really capable of that. I've never been particularly capable of doing that, and that's really difficult. I mean, I don't think that is just there. I think that's everywhere. You know, I'm sure you get that in London and everywhere else. But did you ever find like where you grew up made things difficult for you?
Well,
because you moved away.
Yeah, is the short answer. So I got bullied a lot at school. So I'm gay. Like, just it is what it is. And so I moved to Barnsley from New Zealand. Spent a couple of years growing up there, and I got called posh because I had a Kiwi accent. Like, just maybe you are different. Yeah. You're posh, and I'm not a fighter. You know, I'm much more of a, hey, why don't we all talk this out and get along?
Yeah,
and, you
totally.
know, I'm the kid who wanted to play chess, and it's like, oh, you're not making any friends here. And so I remember I used to take different routes home because they'd avoid different groups of bullies, and if I was, you know, if they did start on me, I'd run off. And I remember one of them like trying to goad me into fights, like these different groups trying to goad me into a fight. And I was just like, I don't want to do that, not because I'm not capable of doing it, but I think I've got to make myself so sanctimonious. I even thought then when I was like 15, 16, there's a better way of sorting this out.
Totally.
And also it's fucking terrifying when you've got like a group of 10 guys all chanting fight, and actually in your core you're going, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I think there's definitely an expectation of, and it's almost more unsettling not to fight, and that's what people don't get, or what I thought that maybe that's why some of the derision came. Is like, all right, so if you're gay, you don't fight, therefore we don't understand
Yeah.
That, and like, I'm not, like you're saying, Brad, I'm not talking as my experience is everybody's experience.
No, totally.
Voice of action. I can only talk from my experience. Yeah,
from yours. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're.
But yeah,
interested in.
it's you know, like, yeah, it's terrifying. And what you want to do is just everyone to get along. So,
Do you think, like, looking back now, there might have been people in that group who might have actually been thinking inside, this is a bit shit. I don't think I should be doing
I
this.
think it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
But well, I would hope so. I hope that none of those young men grew up to be bullies in their day-to-day lives. Like, I've just let me rephrase that. Not just, I was working at a company where there was. You know, toxic masculinity gets bandied about as a term. They're just behaviours. Like, yes, they are behaviours that are typically masculine. When you talk about like competition or essentially singling people out or being tribalist to the point where, you know, it's us and them. Where the essentially head group, it was very much, if you don't get on board with us, you're out.
Yeah,
that's it. And then they would go out of their way to just essentially undermine everything that you wanted to do. And I've forgotten the question.
I've seen that happen like in social services and that. Like, you think you like within a group of people who are supposedly kind of empathetic, they're trained and aware of other people and social dynamics, and you know, and diversity as well. Massively trained in those areas.
Yeah.
Yet I've been like, you know, I've had experience of teams when it's like there's like the core clique and they're in charge, and like you either join the clique or like you're going to be going in about a year because you're not going to get on there.
So actually, going back to the question we were saying, do I think some of those people grew up for that?
Yeah.
I hope they don't, but I think people can grow up to be that.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, especially if they're surrounded by people who echo their sentiments. And this was a very, very professional city job. But actually what you ended up with this was this group of men running this business who prided themselves on things like they never said thank you for anything.
Right.
They would never acknowledge you in communication.
What, and they would talk about doing this?
Yeah, so everything was about, the customers first.
Yeah.
My whole thing was, well, you know, yes, but you've got a whole group of people that you should be serving as a leader of this business.
Yeah.
You know, they're your customers.
Yeah.
You know, why is everyone leaving? Well, maybe if you didn't treat them like an arsehole the entire time.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that stiff upper lip, don't show your emotion,
Yep.
be hard. And if you're not like this, then there's something wrong with you. There's
Wow.
something wrong with the way you're approaching things. Which is why I left the job.
Yeah.
Because I fundamentally don't agree with that.
Totally.
The problem is though, is that in many ways, those people are often quite successful.
Yeah.
Like they're you know, from us looking in, we'd be saying that's terrible behaviour. But then looking at, they're going, well, like, who's a successful one here?
Yeah.
They're the ones doing well. You know, like it's that kind of.
What's your
Wolf
measure of
Wall Street
success?
thing. Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know what most people's measure of success is financial success, isn't it? And like, you know, that's clearly not mine. But you know, for a lot of people, they're going to be like, "Well, like, I'm successful. You're the idiot. You're the one who's not doing it. I'm the one who's doing well here."
Yeah, I agree with that. And you would look at it and go, if everyone else around me, if I'm successful to this point, but to that point, I'm talking about the company I was talking about, they had a real issue with growing beyond where they were, like headcount essentially, and what they wanted to do as a business, because they couldn't hold on to people. So it's almost at that point when you go, actually, if you've got this wealth of data behind it that's saying like people are leaving and they're putting on things like Glassdoor or their exit interviews that it's company culture and that it's bullying. Right? They're saying that word. That's a strong word to use.
Yeah,
like
totally.
if you've ever been bullied,
Especially in a professional environment.
yeah, exactly.
As well.
You know, my boss bullies me. That's a strong thing to say, which I don't think a lot of people just throw out there. They usually say, "Oh, it's a development opportunity or more money," but they're saying it's bullying. I think it becomes a weakness then.
Yeah,
that single-mindedness.
Totally.
And the reason I bring this up was I started therapy last year for the first time.
Amazing.
It took a long time for me to actually reach out and ask anyone
normally
for any
does,
fucking
though.
help.
Despair gets you there.
Yeah, and it was only with the therapist where it was like, all right, so we were talking about behaviours and reactions to things, and I'd always been very single-minded. Like, I want this, therefore the rest of the world has to make way for me to do that thing. very, very arrogant way of looking at stuff. But it got me very far in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like really, really far into my career and where that was. But I've not stopped to realise that actually it was the thing that was holding me back now. That single-mindedness of this is how my life should look now. And if it doesn't look like this, if it's not how... not I thought it was going to work out, or how I thought I want people to view me, then it's shit. Actually, that's not true at all.
It's difficult because you kind of want to have like aspirations and kind of be aiming for something and know in your mind that you're aiming in that kind of direction. But it's like that's kind of touched on my stuff a little bit because I'm so busy trying to do what I'm trying to do and everything else that it's only really when someone else kind of calls it out sometimes, family or whatever, and they go, "Oh, you're being a bit like angry or this or that or whatever," and you look around and go, "Oh, fucking hell, yeah, I've been a bit of a dick." And
Did someone call it out for you then?
my wife every day. Not really. No, I think reflecting back on past friendships, I think I touched on this last couple of episodes, but like bands and stuff like that in particular, and just how they kind of fall away. And I think that is a natural part of life. And it's something I didn't understand until recently, because in my mind, I just wanted as many friends as possible. So Facebook and social media is a good example. Like at one stage, I was just collecting friends. And I had, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 or whatever.
Gamified it.
Yeah. And then...
There was no meaning.
No. And then I'd sat one day and someone suggested to me, just delete everyone. When you look at them, you don't instantly sort of have a memory of or recognise or anything like that. And it was really, really, really hard, especially being a people pleaser. And yeah, I cut that right down. I got it down to like 800 or something like that. And I'm still, to be honest,
I've still got 800.
well, no, I mean, I don't really use it that much.
Humble brag.
It's ideal for this because, promotion and everything else. I'm using you all as pawns in my social media advertising game. But to be able to do that was quite therapeutic. And then when you do reflect back and think there is always something else going on, there's other reasons, people are off doing whatever they're doing and everything else, it's not always actually down to you, the reason why you're not in that situation anymore. And it's probably healthy that you're not in that situation anymore.
That goes back to what I was saying. The problem's not them. The problem is you looking to feel better from other people.
Yeah.
And that is a fool's pursuit.
Yeah, it is. Really is.
You're like, other people aren't going to make it all better for you.
No.
It just doesn't exist. Even if you're like, like my wife makes a lot of things better for me, but essentially I still know it's got to come from me.
Yeah.
And I think like therapy is great for that because it kind of pulls you back to thinking about things a bit more sensibly.
Yeah.
And it throws in concepts like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I've been doing that all my life, the acceptance, wanting to have like lots of friends, but actually none of those friends really give you anything in particular.
No.
And like that's like success, I think, can be like that. It's like, well, if I'm successful, I'll be happy. And there's a lot of very successful people who realise that actually they're still not happy, and like the money doesn't. It's the old adage that money doesn't buy you.
Yeah, there's a good quote from Jim Carrey, I think, who says like, wishes everyone could find fame and fortune, just so they realise that it really ain't the answer to a lot of things. It's just, if anything, cause more problems. It's difficult to kind of get your head around because culturally, most films, ends and everyone's either laughing or well off.
Can you imagine
or
that though? You go out
else.
for dinner, like every time you go out somewhere, you're just trying to get through whatever you've ordered every 30 seconds. Someone not even coming over and saying, "Can I have an autograph," but knowing that everyone in the restaurant knows who you are.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if you were ever so slightly paranoid?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Just feed in, like, what are they saying? Who's saying it?
Yeah.
And I think we all go through that in our own ways. Like you were saying with social media, it's almost the reverse of it. Like, I've posted something. Well, everything I post gets 500 likes. Why has this only got 490?
Yeah.
And you go, not that everything I've ever posted has 409 likes. But almost isn't it? It's like, why am I losing? What am I not doing right? All right, I need to correct my behaviour to please this unseen audience.
All these people I don't know. And it's like...
still touches on me with this.
It don't work.
Yeah.
No, it happened to me. It happened to me with this. Doing podcasts, exactly that. It was like lots of people are listening. We're getting loads of like likes. And then one day, like nothing much was happening. And that was when I was like, why am I looking for others to make me happy? Why am I doing that? What essentially is that? And that's essentially insecurity.
Yeah.
You know, I'm insecure, so I look to others to make me secure. And as I say, that's a fool's game. That doesn't work.
It is a fool's game, but it's a lot to try and make yourself secure. Like,
Yeah.
the only person... Actually, I was about to say the only person I know, but I don't think anyone I know is that solid that they don't look for some kind of outside confirmation that they're doing well and that you do all right. And, you know, that I think I kind of equate it with trying to be, like, comfortable in your own skin or trying to relax. I was saying to my I suppose my fiance, or boyfriend, but we're 35 and 37. It's a bit long in the tooth for boyfriend.
You got a ring on?
Oh no, but he proposed to me on a beach in India on my birthday.
Nice.
It was lovely. But we'd met when we were 19,
Yeah.
got back together 5 years ago, so it'll be 6 years
Really?
this year. Yeah, it was very nice. But I remember once, Matt's really good at relaxing. He's really good at, like, I've done my work now, relax. And he can do nothing. He's really good at doing nothing. And I
Mate,
envy
that's
it.
a natural skill.
I know. You can't teach that, I don't think.
No.
And I remember once we're getting ready, and it's the first time I went to India, and I'm just like this. I do this a lot. I put tension in my shoulders. Like, what's up? I was like, I'm just getting all tense thinking about how much I'm going to have to relax while I'm on holiday.
Yeah. I do that on holidays though. I don't relax on holiday, and I find it more. I relax at home, but I find on holiday I can't relax at all.
No.
And I do exactly that. I get stressed thinking, I'm gonna look weird, or my family's gonna be like, "What's wrong with you?"
But then
'Cause I'm not
why should you?
relaxed.
But why?
Exactly,
Like,
why
if
should
I
you?
don't relax by not relaxing, then that's fine. I'll find something to do while he sits on the beach. But again, this idea of there's a way to do things.
Yeah.
You know, you should do it like this because everyone who's been to Southeast Asia has this photo and this photo and this photo, and they've done that and that and that.
Adverts for the holiday company are all everyone on the sun lounger
good
and
point,
everything
yeah.
else. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one to do. Like to have that self-fortitude, I think it's very difficult. But we're taught to have that. That's a good virtue. You're stoic,
Yeah.
strong,
Stoic.
silent.
Yeah.
That's not stoicism. That's after reading Darren Brown's book about stoicism.
Okay.
Stoicism isn't that, you know, like the typical, you know, like that stiff upper lip is meant to be quite stoic. You know, like I let you know I you know, all this bad shit happens and I hold my head high. Stoicism's essentially not that. Stoicism is kind of really, really basic stuff. Like one of the concepts of stoicism, which I really like, is that you can't control what other people do.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about it. So there's a lot more to it, but like even that, just the simple concept is a little bit different to that. Stoicism almost suggests that you don't care. Where it's like, there's loads to stoicism. It's in that Darren Brown happiness book.
I did. Do you know what? I picked it up and I actually looked at it and I was like, all right, I'm going to start reading this in a minute. And then I was just, the kids were doing something or whatever, and I still haven't even looked at the first page of it. I got it at Christmas, but I'm itching. Like loads of people said, oh, you've got to read it.
It is really good.
I really want to.
What took you into therapy then?
What?
We touched on it. I know that I end up talking and we lose things. So
I was saying this. So I was round at James's having dinner with his wife Tate, very lovely, and we were talking about. I was getting worried that I'm not avoiding the question. By the way, that's not what I'm doing. I struggle to tell stories quite linearly.
Me too. I'm dreadful at it.
When I asked you what the question was, because I did have a point, but I thought I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah,
with
it's
it.
because your brain is in the moment of the story that you're telling, so you don't have to remember it. Don't worry
So
about
what took me into therapy? Me and Matt had bought a house and we've been living in it about a year, and then I'd been my role had been made redundant at the job I was in, and that put a lot of pressure on, but I managed to find a new job straight away. And then Matt was hating where he was working. He was being bullied, and it just, you know, when your partner's coming home at the end of the day, and you can just see like they're not themselves, like this withdrawn version of who they are, and
Totally.
you want to try and fix each other, and you can't. You can't fix. No one can fix someone else, but that's what you want to do. Stop hurting. I'm going to try and. I'm a doer. Like in my head, I'm a doer. I can fix this.
Yeah, totally.
And so Matt was really unhappy, and he wanted to quit his job. And then so I'm thinking, well, if he quits his job, it's just going to be me earning, and while that's enough to cover the mortgage and stuff, it's going to be like bread and butter sandwiches time. And so you know, it was just this build of thing. And a lot of our friends had moved away. So we're talking about having friends and a good support group.
Yeah.
And the people I was really closest to, apart from Matt, had moved out of London. So there was like 2 of them left out of a group of 10. And so I felt like all my friends had gone away, and I felt like the world was on my shoulders, and I was going to have to support both of us. And then what if I lost my job? And it was just this like gradual build up of things over time. And whereas my younger self would have really just laughed them off and gone, just get on with it. Really in the moment, really didn't care about what happened in the future. All this stuff just started building up. And for some reason I didn't tell Matt about it. I don't know why. I just kept it in. And it got to the point, and then work would treat me awfully, and it got to the point where when I walk out the house, and then there's a park in between the house and the tube station, and when I entered the park in the morning, I just burst into tears because there was no one else around. Yeah. It was like the 10 minutes of the day where no one would see me, and I just burst. I cry and I cry and I cry, and then when I got to the other side of the park, I'd stop. And it goes.
So did
down.
this happen fairly regularly?
Yeah. So it started off just. No, actually, the crying just started all of a sudden, and it was about a week of it. And then I thought, this after about a year of not feeling right, something not quite right. And I thought that I can't go on like this. And I started having these thoughts of, I could just walk out. I could just take the savings, leave them at the house, and just go. And just go and sit on the beach somewhere, whatever. Which made me feel guilty because I was like, oh God, I can't believe I've got so much savings that I could do that. And then I felt overprivileged. And then this other stuff that shouldn't come in. Yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, but what will people think if I did that? And then, of course, what will people think if you don't do that? And then you do something because you didn't do the thing in the first place. And all of this stuff just swirling around while you're trying to keep a smile on.
Yeah.
Well, you're just trying to keep this, I'm cool, yeah, drinks on Friday, great. Yeah. Lunch on Saturday afternoon sounds perfect. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week because I think I should look like this, and I think I should do this, and I think I should do this. And it just got too much. And I remember I called Matt and I said, I don't want you to panic. You got to panic if someone says, I don't want you to panic.
Totally.
Don't want you to panic. Nothing bad's happened, but I really need to talk to you when I get home tonight. He was like, okay. I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm not ill. Yeah, I'm not like, traditionally ill. I don't want you to worry, but when we get home tonight, I don't want you to sit down and then you freak out. So he was freaking out. Yeah, freaking out all day. All day, I know. So it's actually, I kind of think looking back going, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And I just told him what was happening. And the moment I told him, I felt like a bit of the weight had gone, just a little bit had gone. And then I had to, so work were really good insofar as their healthcare thing. You had a whole like therapy thing built in, so I could get it free through work.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I had to go through 3 consultations to do that, so I had to tell this whole story
over
and over.
Really?
Over and over. Well, I'm getting free therapy. But yeah, so like to an online GP where you like hold your phone and they go through it, and then to a mental health nurse, and then they went, oh, that's great, but to actually get the referral, you now have to go to your GP. Yeah. Our GP isn't the greatest in terms of trying to get appointments. Right. So at the time or I couldn't book online. I'd not registered to book online. So I'm trying to call them between 8 and 8:30 in the morning, which is the only time you can book an appointment.
And the world and their wife are ringing as well.
Yeah, you know, very heteronormative. Could be the world and his
Sorry,
husband.
it really could. Thank you very much. You're very correct.
Right. World and their partners. And so that took a while as well. And I remember I was sat in the, trying to tell this doctor what had happened. She kept interrupting me and I'm going, oh, could it be this? Could it be this? It was like, all of those things. It's all of them. I really just need you to listen to me tell you this now, and felt very rude, but to not interrupt because I need this referral because I need to talk to somebody. Because you know, apart from trying to keep the face on, you were talking about, you know, people at work and recognizing what you like, being grumpy. People that were close to me at work were like, when I told, because I actually sat down with them, my team, and said, I'm going into therapy. I'm taking this time off every week. If you wonder where I've been, that's where I'm going. Once I said that, they were like, oh, right, that makes sense. Like, what? I was like, been a bit of an arsehole.
Wow.
I was like, oh, right. It's like, no one said anything to me.
No.
I just thought it was stress.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
But did that feel better in itself? Just all of a sudden, like, people around you, there's no sort of guessing. Now they know, and you know, and everything else.
It was great. So one of that group that I told actually then said, can I talk to you afterwards? I'm really glad you told me this. My partner's been feeling the same. What help? Where do I go to find them help?
Amazing. That's so.
And I was like, oh wow! So by me saying that, actualise
Help
another
someone else as
person
well.
to
Yeah.
go, oh, well, because they didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
They didn't know what routes were available to them or how they go into
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
I got all
sounds good.
goosebumps.
It's
That's
so
so
common
cool.
though.
That's
It's
amazing.
so common. It's like we've been doing this, and the amount of people who have then said things like similar, like we never realised we could do it.
Yeah.
But you know, like that experience of you go to it takes you a lifetime to get an appointment with the doctors.
Yeah.
And you go to the doctors. Like I went to the doctors, and they were like, "Well, we can't give you any other medication." And I went, "Well, I'm not all right though." And then I said, "Like, I want to refer to a psychiatrist," and they were like, "Well, no, like you're going to be. This is just you." And I was like, "Right, well then I'll be dead." So then I had to take the push, and then I went to see a psychiatrist, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we could try this medication, we could try this, we could try that, we could refer you to that," and that's part of the problem is your experience is that. But I think it's really lovely. He said, you know, when you actually kind of were honest about it, other people are then honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can talk about it. You know, it's not a weakness. Other people are then like, oh, fucking thank God someone said something. You know, I've been struggling with that. But it just fucks me off. It's such a nightmare just to get to the point. And like, that's why people don't do anything about it.
Well, we don't have a system built to help people to do it.
No, we don't.
So we got a group of men. This is not my idea. I listened to. Do you know? Shout out to another podcast. All Killer No Filler.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's Curie Pritchard McLean talking about after the Second World War, you had a generation of men brought up by a generation of men who'd been through 2 wars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
And all
good
those
point.
men had PTSD. Really, I don't think you can come back from that and be
No.
all right.
No.
No, but
certainly.
even
And so it was
people
like-
I'm probably had it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and then so that group of men was brought up like, this is how you behave. You're quiet and you get on with it, and you don't talk about your feelings, because if you talk about your feelings, it'll kill you.
Yeah. If you talk about your feelings, like,
You'll break
the world
down and you won't be able to
will
just walk into that gunshot.
Wow, what was this?
Going back a bit too far.
Yeah.
You know, you won't be able to do that. And so the systems that are built, even like doctors, male doctors, aren't built to deal and talk with this stuff. So the system isn't built to allow
That's
people easy
fascinating.
access to talk about
makes
it.
so much
Again,
sense.
not my idea, but fascinating idea.
Incredible.
About it. And
Yeah.
I think we need to take, as men, to look after each other and take a much more holistic view of how things interact with each other, and not just think, okay, this is me and I can deal with it on my own. No, actually, there's lots of stuff preceding that, and not to blame anyone for anything, but just to acknowledge that stuff happened, and maybe it does affect how we are.
Something you said about, that's why I asked you about it, was you said about you started crying a lot. And I notice more, I've noticed in people I've spoken to, and I noticed in myself, that when things were really fucking wrong and really, really bad, I couldn't stop crying. And it was almost like it came to that point for me to go, oh shit, this ain't right. And that's when you're like, right, doctors. Yeah, I was talking to someone else I know today, and he was like, you know, he has points when he's just crying all the time. And I'm like, you need to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be crying all the time. You know, it's all right if there's things to cry about, you know, but otherwise, like that is kind of your body saying you're not coping here. You know, something needs to happen. So you went and did it.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been?
Really positive.
I am a massive advocate for therapy. I love good therapy. Bad therapy, it can really
What's bad
put
therapy?
you off. Well, the problem is, I think a lot of people go into therapy and they go in there and they expect to be done to. A therapist will go, right, all right, this is what you need. Like, this is the answer.
Bing.
Yeah, I've turned the switch in your head. You're now better. And therapy doesn't work like that because it's still got to come from you. All they're going to do is give you suggestions, give you an opportunity to speak openly, which actually, like, sometimes that's all you need. And then they guide you in a direction. And then you have to go away for the week between, or the 2 weeks between, and fucking think about it and work on it and try it and do all that. And I think I've spoken to so many people who have gone, oh, they're therapists, they're fucking wankers, they're shit. And I'm like, are they? And they're like, well, you know, I went in there, it just made me feel worse. And I'm like, it does do that, because you're talking about painful things that you probably never said before. That's hard.
It is hard. I don't think it's necessarily down to the I think it's a bit of both, actually. I can only talk from my experience.
Yeah.
Mine was, it's the only time I've been in therapy, so I don't have a control therapy to measure it against. But it was great because it allowed me an opportunity to just talk without someone trying to give me advice on how to fix it, because he doesn't know anything about the context. So he's just talking. Actually, he didn't talk at all.
It's got to hear it all first.
Yes.
The best therapist generally will just let you talk, and then at the end, occasionally they'll say, "I think this." They'll reflect back. They'll paraphrase and go, "I think this is what I'm hearing."
What I really liked about it as well. So you talked then about the week in between. Oh, hello. I've got a friend.
My dog's in. Brad's gone for a wee, and now the dog's in. She's very loving.
Oh, she's very loving. The week in between, so he gave me exercises in between each week of things to. So the first one was like, let's spot the situations where these feelings were arising. So one of the things I was really struggling with was I was having really unhelpful thoughts, such as like I'd be on the tube, and whereas I'd lived in London for 10+ years, tube never bothered me. All of a sudden, being around people, being around large groups, made me really angry. And so I'd get really, really angry on the tube, and in my head, never acted on it, but in my head, I could see myself like wheelbarrowing through the tube, fists flying.
I used to do things like
and like, I could just I'd be on the tube, and it's almost like an out-of-body experience where I could see myself hitting these people. Yeah. I've thrown like 3 punches in my entire life. I'm not an angry person.
That's anger, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got anger.
And what am I angry at? Yeah. What's this thing? I'm not really angry. I'm sad. I'm just I don't know how to deal with being sad. So a lot of it was like.
Brad, you're going to have to... Can you let her out?
Yeah, sorry.
A lot of it was... transposing my sadness or, into feelings that I knew. Right, I can deal with angry, because I know what angry is like. So it was like, can we look at when you're feeling this? Is it personal? Is it professional? When is it breaking out of these? I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
No, get out!
And...
Come on, grab her.
Great podcasting, dogging. And so... what was really helpful was having that structure in between the sessions of this is what we're going to focus on this week. This is what we're going to focus on. Because for me, I like having things to do. I like something to engage my brain. And so having that structure really, really helps. So I'd say it was just very good therapy.
So it's funny, I think, I put a post on recently about, on the socials about stop moaning and start doing. Because I think there's something very powerful in you start taking action. Mm-hmm. So the action might just be that you go, right, I'm going to book a doctor's appointment. It might take you a week or two to actually get there, but in that time, you've done something about it. And, so a good therapist will say, go away and think about this for the week and see how you get on. Just a few little tips, see what you think. So that you're actually engaging in being better. And I really swear by that. I think that is properly the answer. You can't. That kind of comes back to you can't go to therapy and expect to be fixed. You've got to do the work. So they're kind of doing that for you, saying, right, we'll go and do this. But the reason it works for you is because you're like, I want to do it.
Yeah. I didn't want to feel like that anymore.
I want to get better.
It's like, I can't. I don't want to feel like this anymore. This isn't good for me.
And there's your motivation.
Yeah, and I think sometimes maybe it's a British thing. We feel bad about being selfish. Like almost, I think there's a real snobbery towards therapy because it's something Americans do. It's Americans. We're British. Actually, I think it's a fundamental flaw.
Rich people have therapy.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, the only reason that I got seen so quickly was because it was a work private health scheme. I mean, I could do one was video online, 2 were a call, and then the face-to-face with the GP. Mm-hmm. If I'd had to go to the GP and then go to where I live, talking therapies thing, it's like a 9-month waiting list.
Yeah. I went to the GP, was told either tablets or therapy. So I thought, right, I definitely want therapy as well.
That was your thing.
One or the other, red pill or blue pill.
Like, just coming back to that, now I've got a fucking bee in my bonnet about this because it really, really annoys me. The problem is with that is that basically it's better to use the 2-prong approach.
Yeah, totally.
So you have the medication to make you so you're not a mess when you go to therapy.
Yeah.
It levels you out. You go to therapy, you're in a better position to talk. You're stronger, you're more able to move forward. So that one or the other is a bullshit fucking approach.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree, only because I was really adamant that I didn't want to take any medication, but not because of I don't agree with it, because I really wanted to feel how I was feeling through that process.
Yeah,
so I think just
I also will say, like I say the medication thing, and I also will say I don't. You know, it's not for everyone. It works for some people, it don't for others.
I would
But
just-
I don't like the choice bit.
No.
Yeah, I know the
That's
choice
what
I was just
bit,
so
yeah.
undecided. So I literally just went away and decided. And they said, well, ring up about the counselling, have a phone assessment and that. And then eventually we go and have therapy as well while you're deciding whether you want the medication. And yeah, it's just so long. I still haven't gone back. This is like last year, maybe
Yeah,
2
so
years
that's what
ago.
I mean. It's not the appreciation for the state you're potentially in. If you're in a right state, you know, and you're not in a position to have a lot of control over yourself and other things, then medication's a really quick way of sorting that out. What I do like about what you said is that you acknowledge the feelings, and I from a personal point of view, that's been a massive step forward for me. Is not fighting the feelings and going, right, well, I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? Rather than just going, well, I'll just get off my face to ignore those feelings.
I've been there.
So I really like what you say, because I really agree with that. I think that's a really true
I want to get personal for a second. So years and years ago, I was in a relationship with someone for about 3 years, and I didn't. It was only when I was outside of it that I realised how destructive and how, essentially, I think if I could go, what am I trying to say? I think I was mentally abused.
Right.
I think I was mentally abused, only because I've got no one else to qualify it. But, you know, cut me off from my friends, didn't want me going out on my own, wanted to control my finances. Just really, and while I was in it, it was just awful, and it did relate to a point that you were just saying, and I can't.
That does tick all the boxes for abuse, by the way.
Yeah.
I work with.
But that did link to something you were just talking about, and I forgot. While I was
sitting in your feelings. No, I said about killing your feelings with.
Oh yeah,
off your face.
and so we ended up. So we were just on it all the time. I was just absolutely off. Admit to this, off my face all the time, and it's only when I stopped. I remember once, and I came back and I said, "Can't like he wasn't working at the time. He had a lot of money." And I said, "Can't you not have that in the house because I've got to go to work tomorrow, and I know I won't be able to say no." He goes, "Well, it's not my problem if you can't say no."
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that's when I realised I was going, I'm just using this to numb how I feel about all of this. All of this other stuff that's going on. And so when I finally went, right, I'm done, and but by the by, and walked out and left. And I remember being so broken by it that I wouldn't go out and see people. I didn't want to even see my own friends. I thought there's two ways I can deal with this. I can carry on getting hammered, or I can just go sober. And so I did. I just stopped drinking, stopped smoking, stopped doing anything, and just started going to the gym, and just it took that big life reset to go, actually, this is how I'm going to deal with it now.
Investing in yourself almost.
Yeah, and it's self-care.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Get a proper night's sleep.
Yeah.
Eat well. Like some of the basic things that we just don't do to look after ourselves.
It's weird that you have to hit a point like that.
It's horrible, yeah.
Oh fuck!
But a lot of people don't come out the other side.
No, they don't.
They don't do that.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I'm sorry, that makes me. I'm not trying to big myself up there. I'm just saying that we should recognise that if you notice that in your friends, if you notice them pulling away, you shouldn't pull away. You should make more of an effort to reach out, because when you're in the dark, what you want is someone to go, "Oh, are you all right?" And I know there's that thing people go, "Oh, if you just ask me, I'm all right. I'll just break down."
Yeah.
Actually, break down then.
Yeah, that's the thing. It needs to happen.
No, but the thing is, if you say to someone you're all right, and they say, if you ask me, I'm all right, I'll break down, and it's like, no, you're not all right. You know, come on, let's go and have a chat.
Yeah,
Let's go and have a chat.
Yeah.
Like I often will say to people I work with, and I've worked with people and they've had difficult times, and even just generally I've worked with hundreds of people all the time, really, and like you'll just see there's a shift, and it's almost like there's a darkness has descended, and I'm like, is no one gonna say anything here? And you just go over and just say, you don't seem yourself. Do you want to go and have a chat? It's like, why can't fucking people do that? Like, it's almost like, oh, you're going to catch it.
But maybe everyone's fucked up a little bit, and
so
you're almost in your own little
Yeah.
dark place, and you go, actually, I can't take on someone else's stuff
I
at the
feel
moment.
like that
and
sometimes. I do feel like that sometimes.
I want to get myself another. Where do I get this from?
in the fridge, just by in the corner there.
Yeah, it's difficult to like self-regulate and kind of have the feeling of, you know, am I all right? Is everything okay? And friends around me. Is it the right? Is it right to reach out?
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to approach someone and say, "Oh, you're all right." But what's the alternative? You know, what's the alternative? Like, people are dying.
Yeah,
Just go over.
they
and
really
say,
are.
"You're all right." Like, they can always go, "Leave me alone." You know, like what's lost?
Yeah,
You might be that one person who's changed, who will really make a difference for them. And all right, sometimes you do feel like, you know, you're carrying around enough of your own shit. I feel like that all the time. And on those days, I won't go, "Are you all right?"
Yeah, okay.
You know? But on the other days, I'll go, "Are you all right?"
Yeah.
I don't know, I just really feel like, as humans, we're all human beings. We all struggle the same shit, and we should try and look out for each other a little bit.
Of course.
And so like, I feel that. And what was I going to say? So yeah, so the bit about sometimes that you need like a dramatic thing to go to push you up into the change, into doing something differently. And I just think that's so true. I've just done 8,000 steps.
Oh, nice work.
80.
8.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
We're going to get into how many steps you've done. This could be a
Good
regular
work, mate.
segment. How many steps have you done? I've done 25,000.
I'm using.
I've driven and I've sat in the
Yeah, your phone must be sat on the dashboard going.
Like 10 minutes to the work and the car park and going outside for a
This is
fag.
sound well geeky. Remember when Pokemon Go first came out?
Yeah.
People were putting them on old turntables because it didn't measure the GPS with like
Oh, really?
soft movement.
Yeah.
So if it went above a certain speed, it'd like, no, you're going too fast, you're not walking. It doesn't
Yeah.
even want that. Get all your steps in. Get all your steps in. Yeah.
That's
You come
amazing.
with Pikachu at the start. There's a
Yeah.
little Pokemon.
Yeah, nice.
It's a complete
It's a good
callback.
idea.
Not what the podcast is about.
So I'm interested in. See, my brother-in-law's gay, and I know.
I do not speak for all gays.
I was going to say, do you know him? You know him, right? You must
I
know
must
him.
have gone out with him at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You definitely.
Fuck off.
No, I'll tell you why I say it, because what we talked about when I spoke to you briefly on the phone, you said a lot about isolation.
Yeah,
You
okay,
said
yeah.
there's a lot about isolation, a lot of like gay men in their 40s have become very isolated. And that kind of struck a chord with me because...
I'm 35, by the way, but hey, that's fine.
Right.
There
Not in my 40s.
Hey?
Not in my 40s, but come on.
Well, it's kind of nice. I'll tell you what, it's like, it's nice to... I mean, me and Brad are obviously very handsome, but you're much more handsome and coiffeur than me.
Totally.
Coiffeur, I've got no hair to
We look
coiffeur.
really rough and ready.
Yeah.
And, you're very well presented.
Do you know what we were talking about, like what is masculinity, and I'll get on this isolation thing. I agonised over this for half an hour, and I put on different sets of trainers, different sets of sock combos. I was like, "You're filming a podcast."
Yeah.
I was just said, "Do you film a podcast?" No, you're recording a podcast. Doesn't really matter what you wear, does
Didn't
it?
realise we were filming
As
it.
long
First
as
of all,
you're
I've got no
comfortable.
hair, so I can't coiffeur it.
No, but you're
On the
well
isolation
presented.
piece, it was a Stonewall report, and it was talking about gay men in the 40s and 50s and isolation, and not just insofar as that they'll have less support groups in terms of family because they're coming from non-traditional support groups not being there, like wider family, but also little things, so like holding someone's hand in public, giving them a kiss, all of that is isolating.
Wow.
Because me and Matt won't walk through where we live holding hands, just because what if something happens? So imagine you live your entire life, what if? So you're never in the moment. You're with the person you love, but the only time you can really be in the moment is behind closed doors or Soho or somewhere really accepting, because you never know if someone's just going to start give you abuse in Soho, but it takes the edge off. And so
like you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like, why should you be uncomfortable?
So what's that psychological term? Covering. When you cover parts of yourself. So to make yourself more acceptable to the people around you.
Yeah.
So you might one might act less camp at work, or not come out because they don't think anyone else is out, and you work in, I don't know, city bankery, testosterone driven.
Yeah.
They could all be at it, you never know. And so so all of these things become isolating and self-perpetuating behaviours because you don't see other gay men or other gay women holding hands. Therefore, you don't do it. So it just becomes a self-fulfilling circle. Yeah, and it just become really isolating.
It really occurred to me when you said that, and I just thought, well, my brother-in-law's completely like that. And then there's been many times, I'm a bit of a thinker, so like my wife's brother, he can behave incredibly selfishly at times, and then I'll go, oh, it's fucking apple, like, you know, and then I'll think his experience of life is completely different. You know, it's completely different to mine, and he would have had to have faced so much more adversity just for being who he is. Like, the adversity you'd have to face, it's like we can't even comprehend it. So it's like, so I was just thinking, I need to give him some slack on that. A little bit, because I just thought, well, Sarah's parents are very, very religious, so you know, being brought up in, like, they were like hell and brimstone, you know, Pentecostal Christians.
I wasn't brought up with any religion, so these have no frame of reference
well,
to me.
but Pentecostal's the proper, you know, like the southern crazy preacher.
Okay.
So it's very, very strong, and it's very much like, you know, gays are going to burn in hell, that kind of thing. And so I was like, fucking hell, how hard's that? So basically he pushed everyone away because he just assumed that everyone would reject him. He assumed his parents would reject him. And he did come out not long after Sarah and I were together, and they didn't. But it was still it was still weird, but, you know, you accept it's going to be a bit weird and you roll with it. But, you know, I was thinking, you know, that's not an experience that I've ever had to kind of think about or worry about. And actually, like that, like, you could see how that all of those things have really shaped him. You know, that's all made him close off, because now he's closed off to everyone. And I think it's just because, like, that was his learnt behaviour when he was younger. It was like, I'll close everyone away because they're going to reject me the minute they find out who I am. I was like, fucking, that's a massive burden.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge, huge burden. And, you know, it's nothing. I mean, I suppose I could kind of empathise, or I could put myself in that position having mental health problems all my life, you know, like, yeah, it does a little bit. But, you know,
No, it does just as much. It does just as much. We shouldn't ever miniaturize. We shouldn't ever. What's the word I'm searching for? It's all no. Make just because. Yes, this person's had something awful happen to them, and that's their awful thing that's happened to them. Your awful thing isn't more or less valid than theirs because you weren't in that situation. And I'm not saying that there's like, you've never grown up in a war zone, so you know, I can imagine that actually would be worse. But you shouldn't think that your thing is less important than theirs, because that is your thing.
Yeah, I suppose.
Not thing, but you know what I'm driving at.
That was me almost trying to put looking for a similarity.
Okay.
And that was where I could find some similarity in it. But it does occur to me. I think, like, that's really fucking difficult. It's really difficult. And then he was saying, like, he went to Cambridge. Like, he's really, really intelligent.
Wow.
And he went to Cambridge, and everyone at Cambridge, like, he could come out of Cambridge.
Yeah.
But everyone at Cambridge was really, really posh, and he got there like on a scholarship type thing, and he was from Essex, and he weren't posh. And now, if you speak to him, he sounds posh because he has to put it on. He loses it when he's around me. But
it's just tribalism, though.
Yeah,
that's why accents exist. So I've read. It's so that we feel comfortable around other people. Because you go, oh, we're from the same place.
And our brains.
That's why I don't talk like that when I come down here. I was born in Salford, you know.
Salford. But we do that as humans. Like, to make sense of the world, we have to compartmentalise everything.
Which is horrible. So you end up with there's this phrase, you know, find your tribe, find who you're comfortable with. And I remember growing up, I remember growing up. So I was thinking about this because obviously I've been thinking about coming on here and what I'd talk about. And I was thinking about people you'd look up to, people in the public eye. And even when I was coming out, so my mum and dad they were good. I wouldn't say they were great. Sorry if you ever listen to this, mum and dad. Love them now. Amazing parents. I love you both very much, and are so supportive of me and Matt and wonderful. But at the time, we had a really difficult few years. And part of it was because they had apart from, like, who were they growing up with? Like Larry Grayson.
Maybe like one episode of EastEnders once.
Yeah,
at some
that
stage.
was their frame. And everyone had got AIDS or
Yeah,
died.
yeah.
Or they were a man dressed as a woman. Like that was there's anything wrong with those things at all. That's what I'm saying. But that was their frame of reference. So they were terrified.
Yeah, of course.
They were like, oh, he's I remember my mum saying to me, I'm worried that you're going to die alone.
Wow.
16? I'm like, wow, okay, great. And we have talked about this. You won't mind doing it.
Yeah.
And so it becomes really fearful then. So you start looking for where's my tribe. So you grew up in Barnsley, and there's no one on like the only thing in the late '90s. What, Graham Norton?
Yeah.
And so I don't look at Graham Norton and go, well, that's a person like me. He doesn't represent how I feel. I'm nowhere near as witty.
No.
I'm not as clever. I'm not as like out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still trying to find out who I am.
Yeah.
And so there was one gay night at a Chicago rock cafe. Mm-hmm. And that was it. That was where we went to be with our people. Yeah. And then even when I went with that, like you got these groups of men that were really firmly like, we're the daddies and we're the bears and we're the twinks and we're the this and we're the that. And like, I don't want to put myself in a box and then be treated like that. Yeah. So it becomes very difficult to try and build a sense of self because everyone's just already decided how you're going to go. No, you look like this, so you should be here. Wow. You're not clever enough with the one-liners, so you should go there. And so that in itself becomes isolating because you're going, I don't want to just be this thing. I want to be a person that has
sometimes I might want to do that. Exactly. Sometimes I might want to do this.
Yeah,
that's quite nice actually.
And it also goes into fitting within what your traditional forms of masculinity should be. Like, I've got to like the football, and I've got to want this, and I've got to want this, and I've got to want this, and both sets of that tribalism are man-made and drive the same toxic behaviours. It's putting people in a box so that other people can decide that box isn't the right box. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or bi or whatever, the beautiful rainbow of humanity you wanna embark on, it's still toxifying to try and do that and to try and label it like that. Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's
But that's kind of what's quite nice about what you said actually is like that experience, even like going to a club. Like I've certainly had that experience going to a club. You know, I've always felt separate. So if I go to a club, I feel exactly those things. Exactly those things. And in some ways, like I think that's probably pretty universal. Yeah. And then you find your tribe, and then you're comfortable for a bit, and then you think, oh fuck, they're wankers. You know, like actually that's not me. You know, like you have a point in your life when you've got a group of friends and you're all in it together, and you might be that group of bullies that we were talking about before, and you feel uncomfortable for a bit, but actually then you think, well, that's not me.
Because even at that stage, you probably thought it was you because you aspired to be like those people around you for a little while because they were the people doing whatever in your mind was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I think that's it. You start feeling good. You feel comfortable. You feel like you're part of something. And then later on you think, actually, that's not me at all. And it's only, I think, when you get that bit older when you start thinking, oh, I think I do know what is me now. Yeah. And I'm not really, I don't give a fuck about them. I'm going to be me now. Yeah.
I think it comes with age, but I kind of wish it didn't because I'd like to know like how much is actually changing in culture and society that has changed. I wish I kind of could stay the same because I had a frame of reference on it because I feel like things are getting better, things are getting spoken about a lot more, and it is a little bit more in the public eye, but obviously I'm under no disillusion that it isn't how maybe we would all like it to be kind of thing, but I do feel that things have changed, but then our attitudes kind of change as we do get older. So it's kind of hard to know in what direction everything is going. Really,
it's strange. Like I work with quite often I work with like teenagers, and like they're like as homophobic and as sexist as you could imagine, and there's just that bit of me that thinks
It's an interesting mix.
yeah. Yeah,
Homophobic and sexist.
they're like sexist pigs. They make me sick, and like they're like massively homophobic, and like I'll pull them up on it, but they're very much like I just think it's like that age group. You're like so desperate to fit in, and you're so desperate to be accepted by everyone around you, and like that doesn't go for a long time. I find. And so I think sometimes it's like I kind of have to remind myself that, they need to be told that actually like that's fucking out of order. But in the same respect, some of that shit is just growing up.
Yeah.
Oh. So,
That's our hour.
oh, damn it. I was going to get into that.
That's 1 hour. So basically, the end of the hour, we kind of cut it off as if it was a therapy hour. But I could
This is
keep
what
going.
Brian's
it's
excited.
Oh, right, okay. Well, we'll park that there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. My hair looks dreadful. And that's the end of that episode, everybody. Thank you to Neil.
Thanks,
Neil,
Neil.
say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, brothers.
See you later, lovelies.
Take care. Thanks for checking us out.